Okay. All right. Great. All right. So, welcome to Wednesday, August 31st, community yoga class. So, we're continuing our dancer warm up series. So, today, I didn't do an intro photo about this, but today I'm going to focus on a few different hip mobility exercises. So, we're going to do the same body warm up, like the Qigong, like body massage stuff. And then towards the end, I'm just going to go over a few different ways that we move our hips in Yoga Narada class. Of course, this is like a very small sampling, but it gives you a little bit of an idea. And if you're going to take any kind of a dance class, any kind of a technique class, especially, these are just sort of nice movements that would give you a little bit more waking up and a little bit more awareness in what your alignment is every day. So every day we're different, and we want to just make sure that we're connecting with our body before we go into many hours of using the body as a tool, right? So as an expression. So let's come down onto the floor. And of course, like I always say, you can prop yourself up on something. You can sit up folding a mat. Like if your knees or if you're too tight somewhere, if it's not comfortable to sit with your feet crossed or sit with your feet out in a diamond shape here, you want to make sure that you're getting a little bit of height in your hips, and also making sure that your lower back isn't really scrunched and rounded under. We want some space and some breath to get into the lower back and the hips. So let's just find a comfortable position. If you need to be on a stool, you can. There's a little bit of modifying. I'll go over those things more in September. I'll sort of go back to the chair a little bit. But now from here, let's just continue with this whole August series of just releasing, letting the breath drop down. So you're going to let your feet cross, take your feet out into a diamond shape, but look for a sense of release down through the spine, a nice plumb line that drops internally. Let your shoulders relax, let your eyes relax. You can close your eyes and just feel the breath in your body drop down into the base of your spine, into the base of your pelvis, right? And we want to feel a sense of letting go through the legs. So let the legs go a little bit, especially the quads, releasing through the hamstrings and the quads, and just feeling that you're letting your body align from crown to tail, letting your sits bones feel nice and heavy and a sense of wideness through the sits bones. So a lot of times we're gathering and narrowing into our center, but to feel that narrowing even more, we have to let the bone alignment breathe, right? So we can't narrow when the bones are smushed, when everything is sort of smushed up. Let's take our hands onto the crown of the head, just resting your palms on top of the head. And we're gonna do the same thing. Just continue letting the breath drop down into the base of your spine, into the base of your pelvis. Feel that your shoulders let go. Try to feel a sense of releasing through the jaw, feeling that releasing in and back through the back of the head, down the back of the neck. We're trying to feel a sense of breath between the shoulder blades, like there's a hand there, and breathing into that space where the palm is, trying not to close that space ever, right? Even when we're drawing our shoulders down, we want to feel that there's space around the spine. Letting the lower back drop through the tail. So feeling that sense of release through the natural curve in the low back, not trying to tuck it under, but just letting it go, not holding it into a hyperextension, feeling how that changes your alignment and your sense of center. And then we're going to release the palms up and out, feeling that lightness through the crown of the head. Let's take our palms together and let the breath drop into the hands. So we're going to use the breath from inside, drawing the breath up into the palms, into the surface outside. Relaxing through your fingers and just letting your fingers glide in between one another. We're drawing that energy, heat up into our hands. And then we're gonna take the hands apart and feel that nice energetic buzz in between our palms. We wanna reach this out. We're gonna breathe and spread this energy out into the space around us. And just move around the space you're in, breathing and yawning. Feel that you're swirling the energy from your inside to the outside around you, trying to really encompass and grow into the space you're in. Feeling that your breath supports this unraveling into the space, up above, down below, around the sides, behind you. And also feeling that the space around you gives back. It starts to support you in any expansive breath and movement you choose to go through. And then we're going to reach out through the palms, gathering that energy from the space around, using the breath and just sensing it over your eyes, washing it over your face around the eyes and breathing into that, letting a nice sense of calm and release flush through your face from the center out. We're going to take our fingertips into the brow bone. Using a nice exhale, we're going to carve from the inside to the outside, with a nice little lift up into the hairline. So we're going to use a nice exhale around and up. Try to relax your face as you're doing this so that you feel a sense of opening and release from the center outward. And then we're going to come underneath the eyes using your index fingers here, breathing out. And again, try to keep your face relaxed as you carve through the orbital bone underneath your eyes with a little sweep up again. And then again, exhale. So we are kind of flushing through our sinuses a bit here, but sometimes when we do this, and you might notice if you look in the mirror, sometimes we crunch our forehead or we actually create tension when we're trying to massage and open, but just relax. And then we're going to take our fingertips into the forehead. Now we're just using the breath, releasing, scrubbing up and down. And just sort of moving the lymph under the skin, getting all of the lines to free up, and then making our way out to the outside of the eyes, the temples, very, very light circular motion, just on the surface of the skin here. And then relaxing your jaw, we're going to move our fingers down in between the upper and lower jaw. You can really palpate here a little bit more. You can really poke into this tissue and move around and just breathe into that feeling where you need to let go and release, especially maybe the lower jaw. Maybe it's a little bit more back towards your ears, but let's sort of explore where you feel like you need to open that up. And then we're going to come up into the scalp above the ears. So we want to get a nice little scrubbing, lifting motion up above the ears, and we're following around the perimeter of the ears towards the back. So we're lifting up energy away and upwards and outwards from the ears in through the crown. So we're going all the way to the back and right at the bottom of our skull there, right? So we want to feel a nice little scrubbing, lifting motion upward. And then we're going to go right into that nice little crevice where the bottom of the head and top of the neck are, the occipital zone. And we're just going to massage laterally, breathing into that. We want to free up that space that gets a little bit congested, feeling that you're just getting a little bit more freedom and breath and tallness to come through there. You can go a little bit out to the sides towards your ears. Let's come back in close to the spine. Now we're going to go for like a deeper circular motion. So we're going along the sides of the spine, starting to go down our erectors and just sort of breathing into this, mushing around and kind of feeling out. Maybe one side feels a little bit tighter, holding on, and we're just kind of releasing into that, working our way down the neck until you've reached the tops of your shoulders. Really big one here. Now we're going to dig our fingertips over the tops of the shoulders. So you get a nice piece of sweeping into the tissue. We're going to exhale, sweep the palms over top and just let it go, shaking off any tension and tightness, and then going back again. You can go into a different spot this time using your breath to release and shaking it off. And one more time going back, taking a nice long exhale to release and shaking it off. Now we're going to start to draw the breath up from the base of the spine, interlacing the fingers. Feel that breath through the center, the midline of your body, internally, lifting you up tall, reaching up through the palms. Doesn't matter where your arms are. If your shoulders are a little bit tight and you need to move your arms into a different spot, that's fine. But we want the energy from the pelvis to lift you. And wherever you end up, that's great. We're going to just breathe up off of the seat. We're going to wiggle up out of the tail, feeling a nice sense of releasing and shifting through the sits bones here. So we get right up over the sits bones, releasing the pressure through the bottom of the spine. And then we're going to come back through center. Let the tail relax under as your arms drop down. So we have both ends of the spine, the crown and the tail just softening a little bit. Now we're going to sweep our arms in a circle. So we have this nice cradle. We're going to breathe around the side. Find that nice pokey elbow to breathe through the sides of the ribs. Inhale up and over. Exhale and around and forward. So we're going to let the breath go through the sides of the ribs. Imagine that intercostal webbing opening, and through the front, exhale through the other side. Now we feel the breath wash through the upper back ribs as we come down. Inhale, finding your long tail to come up. Breath comes in to go over. Exhale, around and forward. And again, finding that tail, breathing and expanding through the ribs up. We're going to take a little pause up here. Change the direction. Exhale. And going forward. Feeling the breath wash through the back ribs. Inhale, side. And long tail up. And exhale, over. And forward. Breathing through the upper back ribs. Inhale through the side. And up. And one more time, over. And rolling forward. And inhale, elbow, side ribs. And long tail up. Now we're finding that midline breath from the base of the spine, lifting us up nice and tall. We're going to lift up, separate the hands, and just take nice circles, breathing through the palms and the fingertips. Feel that internal midline energy lifting you up and staying tall as you release your arms around and down. And at the end here, let's just let the arms drape and hang off the spine, and then gently relaxing. So now we're going to come around and bring the feet out. We're going to just take a nice little yawning. Let's bring the right foot out, flexing the foot. This other foot, the knees just hanging off to the side, resting open. We're still thinking of that midline energy. So the opposite hand is going to go back, your right foot and your right palm. We're yawning up from one side to the other. The back palm pushes you over the tail to breathe and yawn open. We're just trying to breathe from the chest through the shoulder. Let the arm hang and relax here. Relax and change to the other side. Feel a sense of your center as you breathe through the stretch. So we're stretching, but relating to our center body and change. And then again, the breath lifts you up. And find that release to open the arm and chest and change. Breath brings you up, getting that little lift over the tail and change. Again, breath brings you up, lifting over and change. One more time, breath brings us up. And finding that freedom and openness in the chest and the tail. And release. Now, bring both arms up. We have both arms and feet. We're circling the wrists and the ankles, breathing through the fingertips and toes, and just letting the breath travel through our distal points here, letting them open. We're making our way down to the floor, and let your head go, and let that determine where you hang, relaxing over. Now today, instead of just feeling like we're sort of a blob hanging over, let's get a little bit more energy through the center midline. So we're going to feel that that breath lifts us up and over through the chest. Even though your head is still hanging, there's a sense of lifting internally up and over. Now we're going to use the breath to exhale and drop the head. So you're going to exhale through the nose, drop your head, but feel that there's a lift and you let go. Lift, let go. So we feel a sense of releasing up and letting go, and just letting the breath internally through our center, through our abdomen, release through the head. And then just hang over there and relax. We're going to just use the weight of the head to sway from side to side. Let your head feel heavy. We're getting into our elephant mode here. Breathing and shifting and swaying. Start to feel that you breathe into the side waist area through the sides of your hips. And also this nice crossover diagonal breath through the upper back ribs. Letting that crossover release come from your sacrum all the way through and up the opposite shoulder. And then we're going to use the breath through the abdomen to lift the hip up and walk backwards on the floor. We're walking on our sits bones, shifting in the hips, lifting up and going back and up. So you're trying to relax your legs, just dragging them along the floor. We get that nice little engagement through the pelvis. And also we're shifting in the sacrum. We're shifting in our hips laterally here. So sort of up and over. Now let's come forward, lifting up and over. Now we're using our sits bones like feet a little bit more if we're walking forward, pushing down to go up and down to go up. Again, feel that breath in and up through the midline of your body as you shift through the legs. So you're heavy in the bones, but you're not heavy in your energy. We're waking up the energy. And then just feel that lift over and hang one more time. And then we're going to draw the tail down. So now we have that long, heavy dinosaur tail drawing down through the floor as the breath comes in and up along the spine. Keep drawing that tail longer, longer, longer from the top of your sacrum all the way down through the floor until you feel you're just kind of floating and lifted through the chest and the upper body. And then just relax out of that. So now we're going to take our fists and we're going to do our drumming into the sacrum and the low back. Nice little scoop through the low belly, but not as intensive as we did before. So we're just going to breathe so we feel the muscles push into the back of the body to open a little bit more. We're drumming all around the sacrum. Go into your glutes a little bit here, going around into the center and top of the glutes. And then breathing and feeling that you're sweeping away to the sides of the spine as we go up the sides of the spine towards the ribs, towards the kidneys, and back down again. And then we're going to take our fists and just drop right into the back sides of the hips, right where our greater trochanters are. We're just getting a nice breath release, letting the breath travel through the palms. And then we're going to alternate. So we're going to go from the back around one side and then the other side. So we're getting a nice circular flushing motion, sending any tension or tightness down and out through the feet from the back of the hip. And then we're going to come down the sides of the legs. So let's use our palm, opening the hands and using the heels of the hands, very loose here. We're going to fluff up around the sides of the legs. So we're getting a nice little shake and release off of the bones here. We want our quadriceps to really relax. I'm going to kind of mush things around, go right down that side IT band line and feel like you're kind of scooping and lifting all the tissue and moving it around, just getting things to unstick there, right? And breathing through it and sort of moving things, especially where I am, it's still really hot and humid. So it's a nice way to kind of flush things out of your body. And then coming around and down above the knees or on the knees, we're going to take our fists and just do our nice little padding, releasing into the attachment zones of our knees, breathing into that, getting a nice vibration going there. And then taking our fingertips to tap right into the kneecap, letting the breath come through the fingers into the bone, feeling that vibration right into the joint, waking things up, letting the fluid spark a little bit from this vibration, which does really happen, and then go down your shin bone. We're going to breathe and tap, tap, tap on the shin and go all the way to your ankles, breathing into that, and then tapping back up the shins again. And sort of just feeling maybe one side feels more awake than the other, right? So we want to kind of check things out. Then we're going to come back into the quads. Let's use the heels of the hands, get a nice flush from the hips all the way down to the knees. So we're covering the length of the quads here, and we really want to go along the shape of the legs. So go a little bit to the outside. Of course, you're going to feel kind of little lumpy passovers because the muscles cross, right? They don't just go straight down. And so we're feeling our bodies out and just kind of getting everything. We're flushing towards the feet in the direction of our circulation. And then we're going to come down to the outside of the shins, that loose, fluffy palm again. We're going to fluff up around the outside shins, the peroneals, and just kind of bouncing the palms off of the outside of the shins, letting this release through here, making sure that this tightness here isn't holding back the alignment between our knees and our ankles and our hips even, and just sort of breathing through that, waking things up in there. And then we're going to just relax, bring the knees in, and let your knees relax off to the side. So your feet are relaxed. We're not trying to stretch and drop the knees down, but we're going to release into the inside line of the legs. Use the tops of your palms and get a nice downward flush from the hip sockets. So we're following gravity here, releasing in a downward motion along the adductor lines in the legs. Start close to your hip sockets and then gently move apart away out towards your knees. So still taking that downward flush, you're going to probably feel a little bit more tightness come through as you get closer to your knees. And then gently here, we're going to flex through the heels to slightly engage our calves. Take your fists. We're going to start small today and just drop into your calves, breathing into that. And just letting that little tiny shake and release. There's a lateral shake we're giving to our calves here. And just letting that flush and move around a little bit. If it feels good, you can do a bigger drop with a bigger exhale, holding your arms up from a higher place, giving a little bit more force into that. So you can decide what feels good. You know, you're not trying to beat yourself up here. We want to just move things around and breathe through. And just finding what we need today, right? And now we're going to come down to the lower part of the calf, towards the soleus, go all the way down that line into your Achilles tendon area, just kind of making sure that we follow through the lower part of the calves and the legs into the feet. And then we're going to take our hands behind, let your legs come out in front, take a nice little shake out on the floor, relaxing through the backs of the knees. Let's just wiggle the tail a little bit and shift in the shoulders, making sure we're not holding tension. We're going to take the right knee up. Take a deep breath in. Start your exhale. We start the exhale to gather into the center through the pelvis. So we're going to just exhale, let the leg release long. Breath comes in, change legs, and we start the breath. So we're not trying to drop, pushing into the floor. We want to feel a release from the hip socket, an elongation. We're using the floor to glide along towards through the back of the knee towards the foot. And again, we're following a sense of center line here. So even though we're going down and out through the legs, obviously our spine doesn't continue there, but we want to imagine it does. We want to feel a sense of connecting through the center of our body so that we can just viscerally follow and let the body align and adjust. Your body likes to be centered, but doesn't like to be held and with tension. So we have lots of different parts that can work together for one goal here. We're trying to use that. So now we're going to relax the legs and just sort of tap in and out. Relax in your hip sockets. We're moving from the bones more here and just feeling a nice little shifting and gliding in the hips and letting everything sort of adjust. You're rolling on the back of your heels here. Little tap through the toes so that you can feel, again, a sense of center at your most distal point. That is going to feed right into how you relate into the center and your balance. We're going to just relax, bring the feet in, start to move through the feet a little bit more. We're going to roll through the ankles. You're just gently moving around, breathing into the feet, letting things open up, starting to focus on your feet a little bit here. We're going to relax our feet on the floor, take a nice massage into the inside heel and underneath your ankle bones, And we want to you can dig around a little bit there because there's more tendon, ligament, tissue crossover. And we kind of want to dig in there, breathe into that, feel a sense of energy and awareness into this inside ankle area, just making sure that this internal adductor line is awake, right? So the adductors of the feet, we're not rolling in and rolling on our ankles. And then we're going to come underneath the feet and just get a nice mushy massage going on here. So we want to sort of release, go from your heel all the way up into the balls of your feet, really getting a nice release into your arches. We want to feel that sense of breath and release opening up, especially under the joints. So feeling that you can even feel that you're just sweeping out along the metatarsal lines from under your feet, following each line of the toes. So whatever kind of feels best for you. And then let's go underneath the balls of the feet and just kind of move things around there, letting the feet open up, getting some lateral space there. And then let's come underneath with our hands under the balls of the feet. Hold your toes open really wide. Get some space and air in between your toes. So we're finding our nice froggy feet here. Relax your feet and just breathe into that sense of space between the toes, like a nice webbing opening up. And then we're going to gently relax. Take your hands away. We're going to take our hands back behind us, bending the knees. And we're going to start to gather through the midline energy again. When you squeeze your legs together, gather from underneath the outside of the hips. Feel like the outside of the hips squeeze to bring the legs in. So we're feeling everything coordinate. So we're going to walk through the feet like you're walking through sand. We're going to exhale, sending the breath from the pelvis down and out through the feet. Use your toes to pick sand up, doming the feet, and then flick it away, opening the toes. We're going to exhale. Feel the strength of that midline breath going all the way down. Again, exhale. So you have a sense of awareness all the way down there at the tippy end point of your toes. And you can feel that you can feel it. You can start to feel the awareness all the way down through the leg. Now, when you get too far away, let's reverse. Toes go up and over. We create that nice even dome. Relax your arches as you drag your heels back to open the toes. Up and over. Feel that your arches melt into the floor to drag through the toes. Up and over. Especially if you have high arches, let them release to expand. Up and over. And rolling back. Now let's walk forward again one more time, finding that nice squeeze energetically through the midline and walk. And you can sort of check out what your toes are doing, which direction they're expanding into, especially checking out those pinky toes. And exhale and walk. So now let's just kind of shake the legs out. I'm sorry, my phone did that again. I don't know what happened. Okay, so now we're just gonna, so we walk through the feet, we're gonna shake the legs out. We're gonna bring the feet back in, nice and comfy, whatever position you like, lifting the chest up. And we're just gonna take a nice massage, feel the whole chest expand with this. Inhale. And exhale, release. The happy hamster comes in here. And again, inhale up. Moving the lymph around, getting a nice flush through, going all throughout the abdomen. We'll go down into the front of the hips, the groin area, and just move and massage through the lymph here. And then we'll come up right into the center of the chest and just take a nice little scrubby up and down breath here, letting any tension go. And then we'll take our nice long sweeps down through the center from the ribs into your pelvis, and then getting underneath the sides of the ribs into the hips, and then through the center, underneath the other side, and then coming back to center, relaxing your arms, relaxing your shoulders. We're going to take the opposite hand, relax your head over, and just massage into the front of the shoulder, getting all that lymph to kind of mush and move around here. You can also move your head around, whatever feels good. Just kind of breathing into that and releasing over here. And then from here, relaxing and just taking the other side, moving around wherever you feel like you need to go. So you're going to explore and find where you feel you need to open up and breathe into. So the breath is traveling through your palm, remember that. And now we're going to come back through center. Feel the breath through the palm. We're going to gently exhale and drop the palm over the shoulder and exhale. Again, it's that nice bouncy breath release. And letting it go. And release. So we're getting a sense of breath and awareness into the upper back lungs and ribs here. We want to feel that we're sort of waking up and becoming a little bit more aware up there, but also kind of flushing out any little tension, tightness we're holding on to. Now we're going to come back through center. Let the tail end of your spine soften. Drag that breath from the pelvis. Inhale, lifting up. So we're going to take a deep breath, lifting up. Feeling that lift up off of your seat. We're going to exhale, release the arms. We're just going to throw the arms down and out, but feel the energy still remain up. Soften the tail, gather again. Breath comes in. Feel that internal support lifting you, and it stays as we let go. And again, one more time, breath brings you up. Feeling that unraveling, lifting up through the center, and let go. Now we're going to shake it all out. Release from the shoulders, the elbows, the wrist. Getting a nice shake and release through the upper back, all the way down into the hands, the fingertips. Trying not to hold your breath. You can let your head go. Feel like you're shaking even into your cheeks here, kind of just moving things around. Getting a nice fuzzy feeling all the way down into your hands. And then from here, we're going to go through each finger, feeling the breath through the center, just that nice sternum breath. The breath from here opens through the arms, right? So we're going to take each finger, relax the shoulders, finding that breath. We're going to wiggle it open, and the breath releases the arms out. And then we go to the next one, gathering, find it, and let it come from the center. And again, finding that sense of breath through your internal release. And again, unraveling through that nerve line and letting it go. And again, finding the breath, unraveling, and going to the other hand and just kind of wiggling it free. So feeling that you're kind of like a bird here. You can float up off of the ground by that internal lift, right? Which kind of tells us something about birds maybe. Breathing. And again, feeling that sense. You can even focus on the sides of your ribs, the expansion of the chest cavity. So that might be another good one to sort of try and feel with your breathing. And then we're going to interlace the fingers and just kind of smush around a little bit, breathing in between the fingers, getting some space there, relaxing through the wrist. Now let's just gently release the breath and glide around, letting this momentum release and massage and open through the wrist. Try to relax your shoulders and just let it go. And then we're going to, of course, reverse it, trying to find that same sense of release. Connect into releasing your breath to let your arms move through. And then gently taking the hands apart, we're going to open and close. We're going to inhale, breathe them open. Exhale into the center. From the center, the palm out, collecting in from the palm. Inhale and exhale. Now we're going to take our squeezing breath from the dantian, from our center. Feel the breath again, expand you like a hot air balloon. We're going to inhale, float up. Now we're going to squeeze through our distal points, our fingertips, toes, eyes. We're exhaling and squeezing and scooping into that dantian energy. We're using the breath and compressing and squeezing out anything negative,
physical or emotional. Keep breathing out, breathing out, breathing out till you don't have any more breath left.
When the breath comes in, feel light, expansive, floating up. And again, we're going to exhale, squeezing out anything that we don't need or want. We're sort of compressing by using the breath through the nerve lines. Keep breathing out, breathing out, breathing out, making space for new things to come in. As the breath comes in, expand. We're going to do one more. Get a really good squeeze out, compressing and feeling that you're cleansing anything you need to sort of just help release. On this last one, we're going to exhale, but this time we're gathering light new energy through the fingertips and toes, drawing that with our breath into the center, enveloping it, letting that come through into our center body, and then letting the breath in, releasing the arms up, and just flicking away anything that was sort of hanging on. So now let's come interlace your hands. Rest your head into your hands, into the back of your head, relaxing through the jaw and the chin. Let's find a sense of plumb line again through from the back of the head, the crown, into the pelvis, right? So we're feeling that we're balancing and feel what's going on into your lower back. So we're going to let the lower back release to find the energy and gravity through the tail. Let your head, neck, and shoulders adjust into that. Feel that you're breathing like you're standing against a wall and breathing into that space through the back of the body. We're going to sweep the palms up and out and around. We're going to use the breath through the back of the body and let it come out through the eyes in the front. We're going to exhale, look around to the side like we're spotting, like we do in dance when we're turning. We're going to exhale around and look. So we're kind of seeing everything. I'm going a little bit faster today. We're going to feel the breath inside to outside. You're looking side and looking side and looking side. Feel that you remain nice and free and tall as you go around. If you feel comfortable, you can spot a little bit faster. Try not to hold your breath. Try to notice if you tense up. Relax your jaw, and you can get a nice little release here, letting it go. And just letting it slow down gently to release there. Now let's come around onto our hands and knees. We're gonna take our quadruped here, hands and knees. Try to find that nice sort of stacking plumb line from your shoulder blades, right? So your shoulders might be lifted here. Just gently draw them down so that you feel the weight into the heels of your hands. You can kind of shift your body weight here a little bit. Also through the tail end of your spine, your pelvis, we want to feel that the sits bones are nice and long. So we have a nice reference point here between chest and pelvis. We're going to feel that breath through the midline. Let's do a little tiny touch with the inside of the heels just to get a sense of center down there. We're going to let the breath come through the midline, lifting you up into a curl. You're going to let your head come all the way down to look at your belly, and then push the floor away as you breathe in and up to the upper back ribs, lifting up towards the ceiling through the back of the body. Now we come forward, extending through the spine. We're going to lift through the midline, through the abdomen, lifting your hips and lifting your chest, finding that lift through the tail to lift through your eyes. Lift your heels, tuck your toes under. You're going to try to see your tail as you bend the elbows and draw the tail back. We're going to come forward, lift the abdomen, let your feet lengthen, and we look all the way into the navel and exhale, breathing. You're pushing the floor away, so your body shifts backwards a little bit. You shift back and up into your hips, into your low back. We're going to lift through the abdomen up to the ceiling. We're lifting the weight out of our hips, out of our shoulders, letting the eyes come through, letting the tail unravel, lifting the heels, tucking the toes, little bend in the elbows. You're going to try to see your tail as you draw back a little bit. Breath comes in. One more time. We're going to breathe in and up through the abdomen to curl. Let your head drop. Feel that your shoulder blades are expanding wide here as you breathe and push into the floor, feeling that the back of the ribs just breathe open wider. Now from here, walk your hands close to your knees. We're going to, if you're okay with the knees on this, we're going to lift the heels, tuck the toes under, push back in this little kind of hanging tail squat position. You can let your knees separate a little bit. Hang your arms over the legs, and then just breathe, drop your tail, drop your head, and drop your tail over your heels, and just sort of breathe into that. You can do a little bit of shifting and massage into the soles of the feet, releasing into the floor. We're going to take our hands into the front of the toes. Take a deep breath. Push the floor away to stretch through the legs. So you're hanging over your legs here. When you're hanging over the legs, feel that your tail's over your heels. And you can just kind of shake your legs out a little bit. Let your body release and hang. Let's bend the right knee, hang over the right knee, but shift your hip on your left into your left heel. So we're shifting the hip into the straight leg. There's an opposition here. We're going to go to the other side. Bend the left knee, hang your body over the left knee, but shift into your right hip and heel. So you're breathing into the straight leg line. We're going to change and exhale. If you feel okay, you can shift and then curl your head up and release. And change to the other side, bending the knee, shift, and exhale, curling the head up, release. Now we're going to come back to center, hanging through center. Relaxing over the legs, we're going to let the knees bend, come all the way back down to the floor. We're on hands and knees again. Now we're going to go through the legs. We're going to take the right foot back, tucking the toes under, feeling that the tail coordinates through the heel. We want the heel to start to glide. Release your heel. And then just let the breath follow the midline, gliding back, releasing and stretching into the front of the hip, back of the knee, and then come in and change. So again, there's a sense of lifting through your center midline as you glide. So there's always sort of a contrast of sort of connecting into the center to release and expand outward. So you have that energy of connection that feeds away from you. It's sort of the give and take, right? So feeling your body will read to an audience, that sort of idea. So it's not that you're just, outgoing. And then we'll change to the other side. We're going to feel the breath in and up. And exhale, feel that long tail glide towards your heel. And then we'll come back in. So now from here, we're going to come around and sit. We're going to bring our feet around to the front. So we're going to do this nice little spidery leg motion. So we're on our sits bones. The knees are pointing straight up to the ceiling. Our feet are pretty wide apart here. So you can take hold behind your knees to try and pull yourself up on your sits bones a little bit. And then you can probably feel a sense of parallel in your hips, right? So if you need to prop yourself up on something again, you can. So we're going to take our hands behind us. The hands go behind. And again, like we're pushing with our palms to get up over our tail a little bit, to get over the sits bones. But we don't have the chest forward as much, so it's a little bit more freeing. So we're going to push down, feel that energy lifting right up through your center. Knees are up to the ceiling. We're going to flex the right heel and push the back of that heel into the floor. The toes are up to the ceiling. There's a pull with the other foot. We're going to do a nice little shifting in the sits bones. So we're going to rotate by pulling your left foot back, which pulls the left sitting bone back, and we're shearing the right one forward. As the right sits bone comes forward, there's a spiraling through the leg that releases down and around. But keep focusing on the pulling back to go over. Keep pulling back until you roll all the way over onto that side hip. And you feel that you can go up onto that hip to release the back palm. And then we're going to soften the chest and breathe back through a curl to release through the pelvis. Find the breath gathering in and up. Let the breath come in. Long tail, lifting the heel, pushing the opposite heel down. You're going to pull with your right foot, push with your left, but you're pushing and pulling to move your sits bones, shifting forward and back because our lumbar spine does not rotate. We want to shift in the hips to turn the pelvis. We're going to keep doing that. You're rotating to turn, getting a nice massage here, rolling around. And we're all the way up on that side. Now use the breath through the center. Just soften the chest back through center to release. Let the breath come in. Try to lift up over your tail. If you feel too congested, go wider with your feet. So we're going to lift up and over, flex the right foot. And we feel, now use your eyes. Your eyes are going to look out. Looking out in the room to turn. You have some feedback in your hips, but you can lift up out of your pelvis to help your body rotate. That long tail's back behind you, softening in the chest, rolling back through center. Let the breath come in to find that lift up and flex. And we're going to pull and push, but look out. Feel that you lift up out of your pelvis a little bit. You're still turning and shifting, but you're not compressing. I'm going to lift up, let the energy come out through the eyes and releasing back through center, finding that softness in the chest. We're going to do one more time on each side. Inhale up and flex. Of course, my phone did that thing again. It's all right. Next time, I'll definitely charge it. So we're going to lift up. Eyes go out. So we're shifting in the hip. Look away to turn. Feel that long tail behind you. And then that nice softening in the chest. So you're sort of peeling back through it. Releasing in the hip, letting the breath come in. Lifting up, looking out to go over. So you're going towards the direction. You can even think of your nose leading you out. And then softening back through the center to release. Now from here, we're going to bring the knees in close together. So our knees are in and our feet are apart. We're rolled on the inside lines of the feet, on the big toe line. We're just going to do a little bit here. The hands are behind. We're going to take a nice curl, relaxing the tail under. We're going to try to ripple through from the tail through the chest into an arch. So we're going to inhale. You can separate your knees a tad if you feel tension in the knees. Find that long tail gliding down to lift you up. We're going to round the shoulders back and lift up. Look through the chest and through the eyes to lift up. You're feeling like you could lift your chest and your tail up off the floor. We're not going to do that today. And then softening, coming back down. Finding a nice curl. And again, inhale, rippling from the tail to come up. And eyes look out, rounding the shoulders back. And exhale, release. Now from here, we're going to do one more thing where we roll all the way back onto our back. Let your knees bend here, finding a nice length in your hip sockets, long tail. We're going to turn the legs out into a nice little froggy position. So if you're in dance, you know first position, right, through ballet. The backs of your heels are touching while the toes, the balls of the feet are apart. So my feet are like this, right? So now you can rest your heels on the floor. Let your legs have a very long diamond shape. So we have long frog legs, not short frog legs. The long frog legs give you a sense of length into your pelvis and your hips. We're going to let the palms open wide and just breathe through the chest, breathe through the pelvis into the floor.
Find that sense of center. If you feel wobbly, there's a torque in your pelvis that's sort of working its way out. We're going to feel the strength of that centerline breath. As we breathe and elongate, try to relax the back of the hips here just for the moment. Take a nice long exhale. Now we're going to do a little weaving. We're going to take the right knee to fold over into the left. We're going to drag the inside of the right heel up to the knee. We're going to go up and over, rotate. We drag the outside of the right heel down the leg, back to the floor, and find center. Feel the breath from your midline initiate your movement. The breath pulls you over and up, and the breath through the midline releases down and out. One more time, breath through the midline drags you in, around and up, and the breath through the midline, that long tail releases you down, and find the breath through the center. Let's take the other leg, rolling over, dragging in, around and up to your knee. Drag, roll over the ankle heel to drag to the outside to come back down and release. Breath through the center drags you over, in and up. We roll over the heel, find that long tail to come down and release. One more time, going up and over, in, around and up. Rolling over the heel, exhale, dragging down and release. So we're going to take a nice long exhale, rotate your heels up off the floor to feel your sits bones wake up and flush through the heels. Long frog legs, long exhale, and then release. We're going to bring the knees back in together, into parallel, and we're just going to take a nice release. Let your knees drop over one way while you look the other way. Breathe through the midline and change to the other side, rolling over. So we're actually rolling over on our hip instead of keeping the back down. Roll over onto the side of your hip. So the whole pelvis goes here and rolling over. Exhale, you're just looking a little bit away. On this next one, roll over, exhale, roll your body all the way around to that side, whatever side feels comfortable, and then gently push down and bring yourself back up. Okay, yes, cannot do this extra stuff in like 45 minutes, but anyway, so that was a little introduction into some hip stuff, and there's a lot of it. So maybe I'll do that again next week. I think I'll do a little bit more of the hip stuff. And yes, let me know any questions or comments. Thank you so much for joining, and enjoy these last days of summer. And I'll see you again next week, Wednesday, 12 o'clock Eastern time. Thank you so much.